Hello again, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of By the Time We Get to Phoenix, Our View from the Back Seat. My guest today is Mary Smith, my lovely and beautiful sister-in-law. Mary, thank you for being so gracious to join me today.
Well, thank you for inviting me onto your show. It's just an honor, so thank you.
First of all, I would be remiss if I don't wish you a happy birthday.
Brian, I'm getting to that age where I'm not having any more birthdays, but thank you.
I know, Patty said the same thing. Your birthday, my birthday is a week from today. Patty's is right after that. So November birthdays are the best.
They are.
So I want to thank you coming all the way from Tampa. So hope the weather's better there than it is here. But we're going to get started, everyone. Now, if some of you are wondering why I have chosen the wives to be a part of our discussions, well, the wives have become the glue of our family. The girls of our group, they keep us together. My mother kept our family together. So while this is a reminiscing of our time in the 1970s, 5 boys together from a small town in Ohio, we've grown up, and it goes beyond that. I really want our podcast to be about family and faith and future, as well as the past. Now, all the 5 brothers were on a mystic journey through time and space with our parents, and we experienced things few people were really privileged to talk about. But I would be remiss if we don't discuss things from the wives' perspective. So I want to get started by asking you how, I'm really curious how you and Rick met. My middle brother, Rick, one of the twins, would you mind giving a brief synopsis of how you and Rick met?
Well, sure. And actually, that was probably the biggest, not probably, that was, meeting Rick was just God putting my life together in his perfect plan, because God has a perfect plan for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he does, and sometimes it takes us humans a while to know to look up and ask God before we plan our own lives. And anyway, it was just God taking care of me. My best friend, who I went to school with, I've known her since she was 4 years old, was actually Rick's secretary. And she introduced us. Her daughter was singing at the Clark County Fair in Ohio, and she asked me to come to watch her daughter sing, and Rick was going to be there. So I come, and I was with my mom, and I wasn't sure who Rick was. So this man kept looking back at me and smiling, and my mom said, "Boy, he is handsome. Do you think that's him?" And sure enough, it was. It was Ricky, and we've been together ever since. He was the answer to my prayers, and I'm blessed.
No doubt about it. And I truly believe that you have been such a positive influence on Rick. I really believe, and on the family.
Well, thank you.
He is a generous, positive person. Not that he wouldn't be that way without you, but you've made him better.
No.
And you're a part of the family. You and I are connected spiritually, which I love. And I want to make that part of our podcast today. So I really appreciate what you said. And I'm sure that you and Rick have reminisced about some of the trips that the Smith family took to Phoenix back in the 70s. I don't know if you have anything you'd want to share that Rick has shared with you about the trips to Phoenix, how he felt about that, or growing up in a household where our mother was a disciplinarian and our dad was kind of low-key and really wasn't into yelling or discipline, but our mother was the enforcer. If you've had any stories you would like to share about that.
Well, and he shared some things with me about you guys growing up. And I think, I guess my take on it, Brian, is that you guys were 4 or 5 brothers that were not, you were a little rowdy, all of you were. So your mom probably had to be a disciplinarian, but I know that you guys were also very self-sufficient because you had to be, and were and pretty independent. And he did tell me about the trips out to Arizona and just kind of moving around a lot when you guys were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hardship in itself, I think, especially when you're kids and you're going to so many different schools.
Well, searching is another word which you kind of brought up. Why were they searching? And I think in our minds we think, are they searching for happiness that only God can bring? It takes a lot of discussion to discuss that.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, I don't know if you kind of reflect on your life and look back on it, even the bad things that happen, I think it brings you full force to make you, that God takes you and molds you and makes you who you are today. And
no doubt about it.
It does. And you know what resonated with me is my family. So some of the things I've heard that you guys talk about too is like, it kind of resonated with me. I think I heard Jeff talk about you guys didn't go to like restaurants like Cracker Barrel or go out to eat like that. You kind of got what you got. And that resonated with me a little bit with my family, because I think back in those days, and you'll get a kick out of this, my dad, us going out to eat was probably McDonald's, and he did not want to pay the tax to go inside to eat, so we'd get like a Happy Meal or a hamburger, and us kids would share a drink or something, a pop, and we'd eat in the back of the car in the parking lot. So we wouldn't
did the
have
same
to.
thing. That's
Yes,
right.
but we didn't move around a lot, and we didn't, so we did have that home, I guess, where I can call home, and I know where my parents lived, and family come to our house. And so I had that where I don't think that you guys probably did. And that kind of resonated with me as I listened to your guys' stories.
Right. And I'm also sure that Rick probably shared with you the now humorous stories of the 5 brothers and our fights and everything. And
Yes.
I'm just afraid that I had a reputation of being the troublemaker, the really bad guy, which I was. I don't know what I had inside of me back in the day, because our mother had 4 children in 4 years, but I was like a foot taller than everybody else for a while. And we had some scary stories about me that I'm afraid I got a really bad reputation. I don't know if Rick has shared any of those. Now, we did have, Rick and I had a very memorable brawl with the other brothers, Randy and Jeff, in a trailer back in 73 or 74. And I'm sure Rick has maybe shared that, where I was beating up on Jeff, and little Ricky came up behind me and hit me in the back of the neck or something. And they all ran into the bathroom. I think Jeff was unconscious on the trailer floor, but and I was trying to get into that bathroom too. I don't know what I was going to do to poor little Ricky and Randy, who were only 4 foot tall, and I was 6 foot tall. But those are some of the things. But I'm glad that, and I'm very relieved that some of those childhood stories about me didn't scare you away from coming today.
No, I did hear about that now, Brian. I'm not going to lie to you, but I do not see that in you. And it's funny. And I think, you know what, even though they talk about it, and to them, because they were smaller, I remember Ricky, he does tell me, I really don't know what would happen if Brian did get in that door. But you don't scare me at all. You are a gentle giant, and you're right. We have a brother-sister connection, and I just feel thankful. I really do. I think of you and Jeff and Kyle and Randy as my true brothers in life. So, and I know you know that.
Oh, absolutely right. And the madness back then became magic as we look back today. It was really boys being boys, as Rick said, or as I call it, boys, especially Brian, being badly boys, but being bad. Did you and Rick ever...
I think it's making memories, Brian. You just made memories for everybody.
It's making memories, and it proves that people do change. And I look back on that time. I've asked Jeff many times to forgive me for the way I was, and we do change, and that's the beauty of life. Did you and Rick ever get out to Phoenix at all?
No, and actually, we've talked about that a lot. That's probably in our very near future plans to go out there. We just, honestly, it's just one of those things where we keep thinking that's where we're going to go. We want to go out there for our vacation, and we've never made it out there. But I know he wants to go and kind of maybe try to see some things if he can remember where he went when you guys were younger.
Well, he was only 11, and when I went out in 2018, everything had changed. I did not even recognize my own neighborhood that I lived in at that time. So it's really, really changed. So he may be disappointed. I don't know. But and of course, you live in Tampa.
We do, but what would be cool is if you and your brother, if all of you guys went back out there just for a vacation. Maybe we could all do that.
And just walk the old neighborhoods. It would be amazing. But one thing, one aspect I want to touch on is that these childhood stories make it very clear that God was with all of us, your family and my family. It's very crystal clear. That
definitely.
I remember one episode where, we weren't really religious back in the day. We were good people. My parents were very good people. But I remember an episode when we first went to Phoenix, and I'm not even embellishing this or exaggerating, but we went in one car, and of course my dad drove everywhere. Mom is in the front seat. We were all in the back, all 5 of us. It's late at night, and we just drove through St. Louis. I remember this vividly. On a highway, very late, driving down the road 60 miles an hour, and there we saw lights coming at us. Now this is on a one-way highway. The other lanes on the other side were going the other way. And the car is speeding at us at a terrific rate, about 70 miles an hour. And I really thought, well, this is it. We're going to be hit and killed. At the very last split second, our dad got over, and the car went flying past us. And I don't know if anybody's ever told the wives that story. I guess we want to forget about it. We were that close from having a head-on collision.
No, I didn't know that. Ricky, I mean, he's told me a lot about driving, and I think you guys, when you're in the car, it seems like if I'm reading what I hear right, you guys would drive for hours in the car. To get where you're going. And I didn't know that, no. But that, honestly, Brian, that really is a great example of how, when you kind of reflect back on your life and you see how God's had his hand on you, and your family, and just even the direction and where you're at in life today, you can kind of just reflect back. Hindsight, and my mom and dad always used to tell me this, and I understand it clearly now. Hindsight is 20/20. And you can reflect back and see where God was protecting you or had his hand on you, and how it resonates and speaks to you even today.
Well, you mentioned direction. As a family, we were all going in the same direction. And just like now, you and Rick and all the brothers are all going in the same direction. We're all on the same page, which I love. To conclude that particular story, coming home from Phoenix, because we would take 3 days to go out there, we'd stay a week and then drive 3 days to get home. The same exact thing happened. We're on the road going home on a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes, of course, and it happened again, where we saw a car going in the wrong direction, barely missing hitting us, and we made it through. The amazing thing really about that is that my parents, even though they never really talked a lot about God, they had incredible faith. I don't know if they had faith in themselves or just knew that they wouldn't get hurt, but God protected us. And there is a Bible verse that says all things work together for good to those that love the Lord and those that are called according to his purpose. And I believe that all of us are. And that's, again, one thing I appreciate about you so much, and your influence on Rick, and how good of a person you are, and him also. You're so generous, and you give a positivity, and I appreciate that so much.
Well, thank you. I feel like I have so much to be thankful for, and I think Ricky actually rubs off on me. He's always got a smile, and he's always positive, and he really is generous. And this, and I know I don't have to tell you this, he loves his family so much.
Mhm.
And he's really, honestly, Brian, he's been a big, I don't know, just a role model for me and my growth in the Lord too. So, and just in life, and talking to you, and I hope that this doesn't embarrass you or anything, but just I love when me and you share God and talk, and so I appreciate that. I just appreciate it so much, and I don't know. So I want to give Ricky credit on that too, because he really has been just a huge blessing, and I hate to say role model, because I'm just kind of at a loss for words, but just kind of that sunshine and example in my life.
Well, he is living proof that positivity works. His family, his immediate family, his sons and daughters, grandchildren. I think he has grandchildren, right? Yeah, he has.
Yeah. We have 4 now.
4. I lost track.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely adore him. Absolutely just love him. And he is the real deal. The world can spot a phony a mile away. And Rick is not a phony. You are also very, very real, which I love. That's one reason I had to get you on my podcast, even though it's about our time in the 70s. It goes beyond that we all changed. We grew up. We got better as we went along. And our parents made mistakes. They made some bad decisions. But the bottom line is they really worked hard to make us very positive in our society and in our community. And it pays off now, where faith and family are now the center of our lives, your life, my life, the brothers, the wives, so important. Again, I feel like the wives are the glue that holds our family together. And one thing I want to talk about that you touch base on, and we'll try to stay on top of time here. We try to keep it at about 30 minutes if we can. We often did not have a plan when we were on these trips to and from Phoenix. But God always has a plan. He had a plan for you, and he had a plan for me, my brothers, our sons, our daughters, our grandchildren. And I just love that aspect, that even though at the time maybe we didn't even realize, how our life was going to go, God kept us in his plan. And I don't know if you want to touch base on that at all.
Well, I mean, 100% God does have a plan for our lives. And actually, and I'm not going to quote the Bible verses word for word, but I always thank him for this, because if you look at your life, he goes before you and he makes your crooked path straight, which tells you he goes before you and he plans. And he does have a plan for each one of our lives. He knows and this is the thing that I've learned. And I don't want to act like I'm doing a sermon here, but we all make mistakes and we're all human. Your parents, and I know you mentioned your parents, made mistakes and stuff too. And as a parent, I kind of look back on that too. And they're human, and we're supposed to make mistakes, and we're supposed to forgive.
That's right.
And that's what God calls us to do, because they don't have a book to tell them how to be parents or how to make great decisions. And as a parent, for me, I've learned that too. But God has that plan. And even if your parents, and I'll just say this, if your parents mess up and they make mistakes for you, God's going to take that's meant for your harm or has detoured you, and he's always going to turn it around for your good.
Well, I think so.
Yeah. And I think if you look, and Brian, just what you said, it resonates too, is because look at our family and, everybody, we've done okay, and God's blessed us greatly. And so that I really do believe that. I do believe that God had a plan for you. He has a plan for every single one of us. And once you start realizing that and seeing that clearly, life gets even better, doesn't it?
That's exactly right. And to those of you listening, if you're having any issues or problems, we're asking you to take it to our Creator. I can't go a day without talking to God and thanking him for my family. Don't be afraid of falling or failing. You know, faith has wings. We hear that phrase all the time. But there's many times, even on our trips to Phoenix, that we got lost. We got lost. We didn't have GPS back then, as you probably know. My mother could not read a map, and we were in the back seat. We were just kids. Dad would get lost, couldn't find her way. But, you know, God made a way for us back then. And, of course, Jesus says, I am the way. And I'm very thankful that my parents were able to find God, and I feel like they're listening in. They're listening from heaven, and your family also. Obviously, your mother and father were a tremendous influence on you. Again, you're beautiful inside, but more beautiful outside.
Thank you.
And appreciate you so very much for coming. We only have a few minutes left, everyone. And again, this is, by the time we get to Phoenix, our view from the back seat. And of course, sometimes it's from a plane seat and from other areas too. But I do want to say that you know, when you don't get what you want, that's God protecting you. There's an old saying: when you get what you want, that's God's direction, and when you don't get what you want, that's God's protection. And I really believe that. That we sometimes wonder why some of our family members get in a little bit in harm's way, but God is with them. So any of you who are listening, especially our family members, we want you to know that we love you, and we cherish family time. I wish we could have more family time. I appreciate both of you so much. I appreciate all my brothers, Randy, Kyle, Jeff, Teresa, all the grandchildren, and, you know, my nieces and nephews. Just love Kelly and Ashley to pieces. I don't get to see some of my family members like I would. I'm hoping these podcasts will help with that. But we're coming to the conclusion of our time here, talking about just family issues and the power of positivity and the power of prayer and faith. And so, in conclusion, I'd like to give you, Mary, the last word before we say goodnight.
Well, I just want to thank you for letting me come and join your podcast. I love it. I listen to you. You have good messages, and I just love your family, which you know that. I think you guys are awesome. I mean that when I say that you're my brother. We might not be blood relatives, but you are definitely my spiritual brother. And just thank you for letting me come on and share my faith a little bit and just your guys' journey and everything. So I appreciate you, Brian. And I'll just end with a Bible verse, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
It kind of resonates with what we've been talking about. So if anyone's out there listening, this is what God says. He says in Joshua 1:9, haven't I commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, especially in today's world or just things in life. Do not be afraid. Don't be dismayed, for Yahweh is your God, and he's with you wherever you go. So I hope anyone who's listening can tuck that in their heart and know who their God is and not to be afraid, and that he's got a plan for your life. Amen?
Amen, and thank you so much. That is so well said. I want to thank you for joining me today. It was important for me to bring a spiritual aspect to these podcasts. I want to thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join us again for the next episode of By the Time We Get to Phoenix, Our View from the Back Seat. I want to thank my guest, my dear sister-in-law, and I love all my family so much. You've blessed this episode, and we will see you again down the road. Thank you again. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Bri. Bye.
Bye.